chose this song. We're gonna have a post-production meeting after this, guys. Woo, Chief Medical Officer, with sure the guys in the studio have gotten very anxious. Dr. Andre is in the house. He's Chief Medical Officer with Short-Time Emergency Medical Services, Dr. Andre McDonald, and he's revealed findings from his facility which see a rise in men, no pun intended, who are not the father for children they're tested for.
Rise in men, no pun intended.
And I'm not sure how they got that in the script. And something that we need to start talking about, infertility. You know, low sperm count in men. So parents, I'll say, for this discussion, don't leave the kids alone to listen to us. No, it's a PG discussion.
For sure, for sure.
To make sure you're on talk.
For sure.
Morning, how are you?
Boy, I'm good. I'm good.
So I know that there was a time when a lot of the paternity test information that came forward came through parents trying to file for their children. So it was an immigration issue that revealed a lot of the paternity issues. Yes. Why are paternity tests becoming so prevalent now? Why are people coming to you more and more?
Well, that is a question we want to answer, but what is for sure, there is that a lot of men are coming to the doctors, to their doctors, and they're actually seeking counsel now because they cannot. And remember, infertility by definition is something that affects a couple. Not just a man.
Correct. So forget that.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
by definition, it's a couple that has been trying to have a baby.
And has not been successful.
After 1 year of unprotected sexual intercourse, and they have not been successful. So a lot of times when we define infertility, people tend to look at one or the other and point fingers, but it has to be defined in terms of a couple. And the studies will show you that 40% happens in men and 40% in women, and the other 20% either in both, or we really just don't know. We're still searching.
So it's an equal, that's interesting. 40 men, equal. 40 women.
Yeah.
Because culturally, right? Don't we usually put that on the women?
Well, that is it. Fingers are usually pointed. But no.
We just skirt around the question when I ask you.
Yes.
Come me ask
Bring
you
him
why,
back, Harris.
Me ask you why are more tests happening?
I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
I'll tell you. And I must hasten to say that the men who are coming, they have a reason to come. So when we see these figures that was presented at the Tourism, Health and Wellness conference in Mobay, speaks to men who were given a reason by their current relationship status. Because having done a DNA test at our facility, they found out that they were not the fathers of not only their child, but their children. And what we have seen is that they're fathers who have had up to 4 children on paper, on birth certificate, but having had a shadow of doubt cast by just some simple things, like something said in a quarrel in the relationship, they decided to test all children. And they found out that the children were not theirs. The figures we find in our facility, which will not reflect the national average, because I say they are skewed to people who have
reason to believe so.
Are 7 out of 10. And this was amazing.
Jesus, be a bridge.
7 out of 10 fathers found that they
7 out of 10 who have had reason to believe so have found that their concern is valid.
It's valid, that they are not the father. And then they went on to do further testing. And it revealed that some of them either have low sperm count or, get this, no sperm count, no sperm at all.
No sperm is a thing?
No sperm is a thing. So some of them we were able to send on to do other procedures that could help them, because you can have a sperm even if you cannot achieve conception by the natural way, but some you just can't because there's no sperm.
Hence the infertility.
Hence the infertility. And that drove the men to seek medical attention. One of the things to understand is that some of them needed more than just straight medical attention, but clearly a lot of them would have needed counseling.
After that.
Because after looking after a child for such a long time.
Or children.
Or children, yeah, it can be quite difficult to learn.
It's devastating.
That it's not yours.
It's devastating. But Doc, you know, boy, I tell you, it's a conversation I'm glad we're having.
Yeah.
Because if we sit together as a couple and we do these kinds of testing and we find out that there is an issue, and then we can go to the doctor and we can resolve it and have our children, it works. You know, other than we at home and we say, no, children, now come, something must be wrong with you, or something must be wrong with you. And then I go and go to a road, go have children with the next woman because something wrong with you, or me as a woman, I go have a child with somebody. It needs a kind of openness between couples. Not true?
It does, Delia, but it points to even a bigger problem.
Tell me.
Because infertility may be one, and many persons will say that it is perhaps that is what is driving the woman to seek alternative ways
the men
of getting
too.
pregnant. But the men will also tell you, when you talk to them, that there's a culture of infidelity. That is something that we have to look at. We did a study some years ago in Jamaica where 65% of women admitted to having a partner outside their regular partner while they're having that regular partner.
Oh, that sample size, go. Tell us about that sample. This one you said was skewed.
This one was also just done in one parish at a facility. So again, it doesn't represent. There's a UK study that showed that 19 out of 20 women, 96%, they admitted to not being totally truthful to their partners about sexual encounters. And 83% of the women also said that they lied about huge life-changing challenges, such as having intercourse with another person while they're with their partners. So this is something that has to be looked at. Many women will tell you, though, that this is nothing new. And they'll say that in order to save our family, to save face, to prevent embarrassment, to protect the same man that they are not telling the entire truth, that they will prefer to allow this man to rear the child of his own. Others will tell you that it's for financial reasons, among others. What we see at Short Time Emergency Medical Services, again, is something that has been rearing its ugly head from years ago in paternity court. We had figures of 34.5%. 1 in 3 persons revealing that they were 1 in 3 males revealing that they were not the father for their children. So it's a long time thing.
Doc, I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One is, maybe this is something, or maybe it's not a question. In the same way that couples counsel before they get married, they ought to do all these tests.
Yeah, they should.
Sickle cell, HIV, swath of STIs, and infertility, because the impact it can have on the marriage is detrimental, clearly. Is this something that you would...
It's a very powerful statement and recommendation. I do believe that we need to say to... I was talking to my pastor the other day, and we were talking about counseling, that type of... having that type of counseling session with couples before they get married. The truth is, that's where most of the counseling is received. And therefore, it should be done. I'm agreeing with you on all these tests should be done. What I know, though, Simone, is that some couples, whether one or the other, do not necessarily want to do that.
I know, it's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
But it's, so is divorce.
Yeah. And people are afraid of what they might find.
Doc, we have to go, but I wanted to ask, is it that infertility is on the rise, or is it that our awareness?
Which is excellent data, which is why I would say it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It is our awareness. You see, what used to happen years ago is that persons used to just take this when it happened, and it is something that we know that happened in a number of communities here, locally. But in order to save face and embarrassment, it was not challenged or reported. Now, persons see programs like this one, for example, is going to make many persons take their children, unfortunately. After we were finished at the Tourism, Health and Wellness Conference, people actually came to me and said that, I'm calling my father to ask him, am I yours? Or I'm calling my mother to ask him, am I my father's? So persons are more aware. Persons are more aware. And so many persons, you see, every time we do a program like this, people would come into short time and say, Doc, I'll tell you this last story. I had a similar presentation before somewhere else, and a gentleman was talking to his partner about it. Suffice it to say, Delia, the lady said to him, well, does it really matter if it is yours? I mean, you're looking after it. He came to short time.
Oh, no, I know how the story ends.
It wasn't his child.
Jesus.
And that was the end of that relationship, and the father seeing the child. And these things happen every day.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have to go, but we don't even talk about the impact on the child, eh?
And I'll just say quickly, the child is mostly affected. Of course, the father who received the jacket. Secondly, the biological father is also affected because he wouldn't have been given his own child. And then the families of both.
Correct.
All right. When I'm going to fire, we see.
Can I ask? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, sweetheart.
They're sparing us the firing. I'm just curious as to why you chose to. I mean, you think of a medical doctor, a doctor's office. You don't think of stats and these kind of almost psychosocial elements. Why did you decide to dig in and get this kind of data in these different areas?
Simone, it found us. We were doing the test for several different reasons. Immigration is one. A lot of persons are curious about their children if it's theirs. But all of a sudden, you noticed that when you have to break the news, you're breaking more bad news than good news. I'll say this last. At one point, we had a situation where couples who separated later became very, very abusive to each other simply because they just couldn't believe what is happening. This is, apart from the fact that these stats are troubling, these are life-changing situations.
Life-altering events.
Yes, these are people, these are human beings, these are children, families. And Delia, you're so right that it's a discussion that needs to be had, but Simone, it is something that needs to be evaluated before you decide to make
absolutely, positively.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
Wow.
You're here for better or worse, and sometimes the worse, bad. But what to do? Thank you, Doc. It needs more.
We can't take it.
Chief Medical Officer with short-time emergency medical services, Dr. Andre McDonald.
Wowzer. You need to come back, Doc, so we can talk some more about the effect on the child, as Harris has said. After the break, though, Christina Gonzalez tells us how she is empowering women through movement. Soon come.